Hi, my name's Judy England-McCarthy, and I'm a storyteller, and I have a website, beginwithastory.com, if you want to check out what I've been up to or what I'm going to get up to, because I always try to get up to something. And this story is called Babysitting. And for me, this story epitomizes, what it can be to have an overactive imagination. That's really what it is. A lot of people in North America, especially young girls at the time I grew up, actually tended to babysit to earn money. And it was usually from the ages of 12 to 16, because at 16, not that you couldn't babysit, but you could earn more money with a part time job. And that's what you tended to do. Well, here I was almost to the point where I wasn't going to be babysitting except, occasionally for family because you know how family is. And this night, I was babysitting for my sister Janet. She was a single mom. She seldom got time off. And she had my nephew Brent, and he was 7. Now, she was renting the upstairs of a two-family house. It was an older house. And she had said to me, you could just go to sleep because I'm going to be out all night. And well, I could have gone to sleep, but you see, I was reading a book and it was called The Shining by Stephen King. And I had just started reading it. It was getting interesting. And for those of you who do not know, Stephen King is known for his scary stories, and this particular story was probably one of his scariest. And by, about 11 o'clock, Brent was finally in bed because you know how it is. Kids don't want to go to bed. And I was about halfway through and I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this book before she gets home. So I'm busy reading and reading. Now, by 4 o'clock, that's 4 a.m. in the morning, I finish The Shining by Stephen King. And then I hear it. I hadn't heard it all that evening, and my logic said, I just finished a scary book. It can't possibly be breathing that I'm hearing coming from some other part of the house. It can't possibly be breathing. But after a moment of quietly listening, and you know how old houses have sounds, all of a sudden I heard it again. I picked up the phone that was in the room, and this dates me because it was one of those dial phones, the ones that you have to go all the way around and it comes all the way back, and you come all the way around and it comes all the way back. I got up to the 5th number, and then I realized if I dialed this, I wouldn't have to worry about a mass murderer down the hall. My sister would personally kill me. That's it. I would be dead. So I hung up the phone and I looked around the room. Ah, there was a candle. You know those votive candles, those religious candles, very long and heavy? And I used it. I picked it up and I started walking down the hall. Each time I walked down the hall, I stopped for a second to see that maybe I had lost my mind and there was no breathing. But not only was there breathing, it was getting louder as I was proceeding down the hall. Now, this was the second floor of a two-family house. So there was only the room where my nephew was, there was a bathroom, and there was a kitchen. Upstairs, I knew they couldn't have come in because I would have seen them go by. So this was the only place this person who was breathing and hiding in wait for me could possibly be. So I get to my nephew's room and I open the door. And there he is, sleeping quietly. So I quietly close the door because you don't want more havoc when you're looking for a mass murderer down the hall. had the candle, got to the bathroom, and whipped it open. There was the sink, the toilet, and the claw bathtub. Nothing else. At this point, I held the candle in my hand and I thought, how can I hear this breathing? And but then I heard it again. And this time it was coming from the kitchen, but I was looking at the kitchen and I could see no one in the part that I could see. So I creeped up to the edge and I looked over and I couldn't see anybody either. But you see, in that kitchen, there was this huge bar that my sister had built to put shelves and stuff. And a person could hide behind that bar. And I knew that's where they must be because I could really hear the breathing now. So, old floors, you don't want them to creak. And I'm walking along like this, getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then I jumped and I looked. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. But the window was open and the screen was up. And in through the screen, the air was blowing. The moral of this story that I came up with: beware the dangers of reading a good book. I hope you enjoyed my story.
Yes. Thank you so much. We have about 13 people in the meeting. Only about half of us have our cameras on, but 13 of us are here. And you've also really developed as a storyteller, Judy.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think we all have different styles, and I clearly am not low key, but I have toned it down, believe it or not.
Yes, you've refined your style. It's coming on 4 years now that we've been in the Zoom age. Starting with March 2020. And the pandemic is mostly over, but we're still strong in the Zoom and storytelling age. And a lot of storytellers have improved greatly during these years, including you.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you only have this screen, and you can't really feed off the audience's energy because you don't have that, but you can see, a little bit, and you can imagine, and you allow for them to be part of it, knowing that they're seeing what you're giving. It's that give and take that way, but it's a very different from a live audience.
Sure.
But I do think the gift of Zoom is that you get people all over the world at an event. Like I wouldn't have had everyone from all the places they're here for this if I did it locally, right? Like if I did it to tri-state, you only have the people there. This allows for a huge amount of people to be in whatever way. Like to me, I like to make people find humor in things. So that's what I try to share. I used to think that I was so serious and that I should share my seriousness. But what I found is the more serious I got, the funnier I was. So I had to give up that idea that I was going to share it that way. I just accept now that's who I am. And that's my gift. We each have our voice in a different way.
Maura?
I just love that insight. The more serious I got, the funnier I was. That's a great word. You have to meditate on that one. Judy, I just loved your telling and Yeah, this babysitting and single mother and so on. You got me from the very second, and I particularly love your descriptions, which pull you into the situation, all these details, so that you follow along. But I also love your humor and your irony, especially the end. Of course, it's great. Yeah, beware of of these books. So yeah, thank you. And I love scary stories who are not too scary. And that
Well,
was
I had
one
no
of the
idea it was going to be as scary as it was. And, you know, but he's such a good writer. You get sucked in, right? Like you just got sucked in. But I mean, that whole book was very scary. And I was just, and it's funny how you can make yourself logically understand that it's not possible and still follow the line that I'm hearing it, so it has to be possible. And I couldn't
Mhm.
come up with any basis for this breathing. Like it really sounded like breathing to me. And it was, I mean, I caught myself along that hallway several times and said, I can't, I'm a seasoned babysitter. Come on, this is not going to happen. And then I'd hear the breathing again and I'd say, well, I have to handle it. And I'm so glad I didn't dial my sister. I can't imagine what she would have said at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, I hear breathing down the hall, you know, it's like crazy.
Yeah, lovely story.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the humor of it.
Katie is asking, what's the name of the book?
Oh, The Shining
Hmm.
by Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
I actually stopped reading him after he got to Pet Cemetery. I couldn't do it anymore. When he did that to pets, I was like, I can't do this. Sorry.
Hmm.
You're good at what you do. You're too good.
But he wrote a wonderful book on how to write.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm just talking about his novels that you go to escape, because my
Yeah.
imagination is such. I'd rather escape to something more pleasant. That's why
Yes.
when Susan gave me that author, I'm going to check up the author to get some, because to me they're very impacting stories. Um they're based in the honesty of life. Life isn't easy. She didn't seem to gloss over the easy, you know, that to try to make it easy. What she does is highlight the good that can be found. I mean, if he hadn't gone, if he had gone to the picnic, he might never have met that man. You know, that whole aspect of it is what's important about life. If you show up and you do what seems the right thing for you, I think things unfold for you differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Judy, when you were saying two family home, I was thinking the breathing was coming from somebody in the other family, and the closing was very unexpected and very nicely presented.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it never even occurred that you might hear, because you do. You hear noises from, and also old houses. They tend to creak and stuff and whatever. Well, I'm glad you guys all enjoyed that, and I hoped it left us on a, a more humorous note, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that it's the joy that will make the world open up. It's the energy. We need to lighten the energy, not be aware of things that are going on. But if each of us does something to make someone else smile, I think we really are helping the world in a small way.
And did you say that you feel you kind of been toning down a little bit?
Well, to me, there was uh an understanding in my telling that that's why I could relate, and I can't remember the woman's name. There's an understanding of trying to get too much in.
Hmm.
So I've extracted and paused more and moved, you know, the physical life. It's hard on Zoom,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I tried to use the screen to my advantage to get you
Mm-hmm.
guys to see what so you felt like you were there.
Yeah, the toning down is good
Okay.
because at certain points you go all out. That's just you. That's your nature. So it's good to have the contrast between the one and the other.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else want to say anything? All right, let's stop recording. Just a moment.